Intro. Hello everybody, welcome to another day in the arena. This is Poor Man's Magic, and today we're going to be taking a look at another Lord of the Rings deck. So this is going to be a common and uncommon version of a very popular deck a lot of streamers were playing on the pre-release, and a deck that I've seen in the gameplay quite a bit. However, we are going to only use commons and uncommons, so this is a slightly pared down version with a little bit more emphasis on the go fast and returning creatures to hand kind of mechanics. So for those who don't know, there were a lot of new elves in the Lord of the Rings release that have this keyword Scry. And Scry means that you take a look at the top card of your deck, and you might put that on the bottom of your library if you choose, or you can keep the card on top. This deck is full of cards, full of elves that scry or do things when something or someone scries. So let's just start with the 1 manas. 1 mana, we have Elven Farsight, which is a scry 3, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you may draw a card. So this allows you to do a little bit of sifting. You can look at the top 3, figure out what you want to draw. If it's a creature, you can leave a creature on top, then draw that. If not, you can set yourself up for a different play. In the 2 slot, we have Council's Deliberation, which is an instant for 1 and 1 blue, which says draw a card, and then whenever you scry, if you control an island, you can exile this card from your graveyard, and if you do, you draw a card. This is really excellent value. We also have Nimrodel Watcher, a 1 mana 1 blue elf scout that says whenever you scry, Nimrodel Watcher gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked. This does only trigger once, but it is essentially an unblockable 3/2 for 2 mana. Very good card. We also have Lothlórien Lookout, an elf scout for 1 and 1 green. It says whenever Lothlórien Lookout attacks, scry 1. This is going to be one of our kind of primary enablers. It's going to be a kind of high toughness, a 3 toughness body that's going to slow down some of the more aggro decks that we might face. And whenever we attack, it's going to let our other cards really shine. We have 4 copies of Arwen Undómiel, a legendary elf noble that says whenever you scry, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. And for 6 mana, you can also scry 2. In the 3 slot, we have her daddy, Elrond, Lord of Rivendell, a legendary elf noble that says whenever Elrond or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. And if this is the second time this ability is resolved, the ring tempts you. This is going to be a really nice build around card for us. We are only including 2 copies, but those 2 copies tend to show up fairly often with all the scrying and with all the card draw that we have. We also have Chance-Met Elves. This is going to be a 2 mana and 1 green elf warrior that says whenever you scry, put a 1/1 counter on Chance-Met Elves. This ability triggers only once per turn. If this is on the battlefield, we can pretty much guarantee we're going to be scrying at least once per turn, so this is just going to keep growing and growing. The final 3 slot, we have Glorfindel, Dauntless Rescuer for 2 mana and 1 green. Glorfindel is a legendary elf noble that says whenever you scry, choose 1, and Glorfindel Dauntless Rescuer gets +1/+1. So you can either choose that Glorfindel must be blocked this turn if able, or that Glorfindel can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. In the 4 slot, we have a couple cards. We have Arwen's Gift, a 3 mana and 1 blue sorcery that says this spell costs 1 less if you control 2 or more legendary creatures, scry 2, draw 2. Because we have so many legendary creatures, 1, 2, 3, 4 different legendary creatures with multiple copies, this is often going to just be a 3 mana scry 2, draw 2 card. That is excellent. We also have, in our final 4 slot, Celeborn the Wise, a legendary elf noble that says whenever you attack with 1 or more elves, scry 1. And whenever you scry, Celeborn gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each card that you looked at while scrying. So if you scry 1, he gets +1/+1. If you scry 4, +4/+4. And in our final slot, in the 5 slot, we have Horses of the Bruinen, a 3 mana and 2 blue sorcery that says return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands, scry 1, the ring tempts you. So this is really what our kind of finishing enabler is going to be. Once we've built up our board, we've built up a couple big elves, maybe Chance-Met Elves has grown a lot, Arwen Undómiel has distributed a lot of counters, we have some creatures that are ready to swing, maybe opponent has 1 or 2 big creatures themselves. If we draw into one of our 4 copies of Horses of the Bruinen, we can return their 2 biggest threats and then start applying pressure. As far as lands go, we're running 20 basics, 10 islands, 10 forests, and we also have 4 of the Grey Havens, which is a legendary land at the uncommon level, which says when the Grey Havens enters the battlefield, scry 1. You can either tap it to add a colorless mana, or tap it to add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures in your graveyard. Oftentimes, by turn 4-5, one of our legendary creatures is going to have been killed, sent to the graveyard. This essentially becomes a dual land. So that's the deck. Let's jump into the gameplay, see how it does. Okay, on the draw against Mythic, we have all our mana. We have an Elven Farsight for turn 1. We have Chance-Met Elves turn 3, Arwen's Gift. I think this is probably okay. Let's see what we're up against. Turn 1 Xander's Lounge, so maybe a domain deck. Go ahead and Elven Farsight. Ooh, that's a lot of lands. Probably don't need Horses of the Bruinen quite yet. Go ahead and reveal the top card. It is in fact a Nimrodel Watcher. Perfect. This gives us a turn 2, 3, and 4 play. Birthday Escape. Ooh, so maybe we're looking at a Grixis spell-slinging deck. That would be pretty cool to see another player utilizing those cards. I wonder if they have Mouth of Sauron. Play Call of the Ring. They have 1 mana open, which probably means, nope, just another Birthday Escape. So they are really being tempted. They're already up to the 2nd chapter of the ring. But we have a Chance-Met Elf. Go ahead and play that. We can play our Greyhaven on turn 4 to Scry, and then also Scry with Celeborn the Wise, or we can draw 2 with Arwen's Gift. We'll see if the board gets wiped here. Nope, just a Nazgul. Ah, okay. They have 1 Nazgul, we have 2 elves. Let's see how that goes down. Horses of the Bruinen. Now this is when we want this card. We will go ahead and leave that very happily. We'll go ahead and lay out our Celeborn, just so they know what's coming. We'll attack with both the Chance-Met Elf and the Nimrodel Watcher. And the next turn, ooh, they do trade for the Chance-Met Elf. Interesting. So we still have a Celeborn and a Nimrodel. We have an Arwen's Gift. We have a Greyhavens that we can play out. However, this is a legendary land, so we won't be able to keep it on the board. Very nice. It looks like they have a Golem, Patient Plotter, into a Sam's Desperate Rescue, which returns a target creature card from your graveyard to your hand and tempts you. So we are not going to have to worry about either of these if we scry. Arwen's Gift does allow us to scry too, so we're going to go ahead and do that. That will make Celeborn a 5/5, well out of reach of the Golem, and the next turn we can Horses of the Bruinen and hopefully come away with a win. Another Celeborn is okay. And Arwen is even better, so we'll keep both of those on top. Celeborn will get +2/+2. Nimrodel extra. We'll attack in, see if they want to block. Scry again. We don't need our 3rd Greyhavens. Celeborn moves up to a 6/6. They do block with the Golem, which I think is a wise move. Go down to 8. The ring is going to tempt them again. And they have 5 mana, 6 mana. We know they have a Nazgul. Oop, they're looking at the Celeborn. They do claim the Precious on the Celeborn and probably play out a Nazgul? Yes, okay. So now whenever the Nazgul attacks us, whenever the Nazgul deals combat damage to us, we're going to lose 3 life. So we could Horses of the Bruinen right now, or we could set up for a slightly better play. So I'm going to go with Arwen Undómiel and Celeborn the Wise. We're going to give it 1 turn. We have 3 cards that are all threats on their own. We're going to go ahead and let the Nazgul do what it's going to do. Opponent with 6 mana. Ooh, they play out Ring Wraiths, a 4 mana 2 black Wraith Knight that when it enters the field, a target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3. So little do they know, but they are actually dead on board. We'll go ahead, we'll let them draw their cards, we'll let them hit our face, but we will be able to phone it in next turn unless they have another play. Looks like they do have a 1 mana spell. Not sure I'm super into that. We will go ahead, tap our Grey Havens, keep up a green mana. We will return both the Nazgul and the Ring Wraiths. No interaction from opponent on that one. We'll scry 1. We'll choose our Ring Bearer. We'll get in for 7. Then 8 with the extra scry. And we'll say good game, Mythic Topheles. Bringing it to the Wraith deck. Okay. On the draw again against Mr. Dr. M74. So we have a Lothlórien Lookout, we have a Celeborn, we have 2 Horses of the Bruinen, we have both colors. Let's see if we draw into something else. Ooh, Elven Farsight. Don't mind if we do. We do not need more lands, but we will take an Arwen for our turn 2. Or maybe our turn 3. We could go Lothlórien Lookout into Arwen on turn 3, into Celeborn thereafter, and that could be pretty nasty. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll show opponent what we're up to by drawing the Arwen and pass the turn. I noticed in a couple games yesterday that you can actually eat the food by clicking on it. Food will slowly disappear. Very tasty. We'll go ahead and play out our Arwen, or will we? Let's go ahead and play the Lothlórien Lookout. I think they're holding up some sort of removal here. We'd prefer that to go to our Lookout rather than the Arwen. Looks like they are going to hold on to it. I don't blame them. Arwen is the bigger threat. Nazgul? Orcs. Something else? Sanguine Brushstroke into Blood Artist. Okay, so we're playing a sacrifice deck. So we will go ahead and play out our Arwen. We will attack with the Lookout into a Grey Havens. Sure, we'll take our 5th land. Go ahead and put it on the Lookout itself, so that if Arwen gets removed, at least we have a little bit of value from it. Next turn, we'll play Celeborn. After scrying with the Grey Havens, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, 3 scries, 3+1/+1 counters. Whoop. Well, now they have Go for the Throat, and there goes Arwen. Good while it lasted. We still have our Lookout. We have a Chance-Met Elf. Does that change our approach here? I think it does. I think we'll play Chance-Met Elf. Opponent's still holding up something. Go ahead and play out the Grey Havens. Because Arwen is in our graveyard, Grey Havens is essentially a free dual land. We have Arwen's Gift. I think we will go ahead and keep that. Chance-Met Elves will get a counter. We can scry again with Lookout after attacking. And if they put something big down next turn, a Mayhem Devil or something like that, Orcish Bowmaster. Okay, Orcish Bowmaster comes down and deals 1 damage to face and creates an army, amasses an army. We can return those things with Horses of the Bruinen. A Nazgul to boot. So opponent is really clogging the board here. And more removal. Wow! So opponent probably had 1 too many removals for us to handle here. We are going to play our Horses of the Bruinen we're going to return the Nazgul and their ring bearer orc. We'll scry another Arwen. Could be okay, maybe a little slow, but we'll take it for now. And then we're actually going to hold up our Lothlórien Lookout so that it can play some defense. When it plays another land into the same Nazgul, it's going to come down, create a ring bearer, and put a counter on itself. And another Orc Amass. Okay. So I think for this one, we're going to play Celeborn the Wise, 3/3. Next turn, we will plan on maybe playing Horses of the Bruinen. We'll try to set up for a bigger swing here. We want to make sure that Book of the Mazarbul, which is a 3-chapter saga that amasses orcs and then gives creatures +1/+0 in menace, we want to make sure that that fizzles as much as possible. So we'll continue to play a little defense here. We'll let them amass their orcs. We'll see what they drew into. Hopefully not any more removal. Nope. They're just going to discard land to draw another one. See if they drew into anything else. They attack with their orc. We will let them do that. They attack. Ooh, they don't attack with the Nazgul. They're going to keep them back. Interesting. So, very pleased with our forest find here. I think we will play our... I think next turn is going to be the big turn for us. I think maybe this turn we Horses of the Bruinen force their hand. Yep, it looks like it's going to work. Nimrodel could be really good. We're going to keep that on top. We'll go ahead and give our ring to the Lookout. Let Celeborn grow. We will scry 2 more times. Draw 1, discard 1. Probably not worthwhile here, but we are going to have to draw a discard. So unfortunately, I think Nimrodel is going to have to go. Or maybe Arwen goes. We have Arwen's Gift, which scries 2. We do want... I think we actually, unfortunately, send Arwen to the graveyard. Ooh, Orcish Bowmasters. So, turns out it has some additional text that says, whenever an opponent draws a card, except for the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, Orcish Bowmasters deals 1 damage to any target and amasses 1. So that is actually very tricky. Very, very tricksy indeed. Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, another Nazgul comes down. It's going to have some ring temptations. Put a +1 counter on itself. Give Blood Artist the ring. Do a little bit of sifting, draw discard. It looks like they don't have anything else. So we'll go ahead, play Nimrodel Watcher. Play Arwen's Gift, see if we can draw into something interesting here. 2 lands, not the best. Ooh, Elven Farsight. That's not bad at all. Oh, Orcish Bowmasters. Wow. Kind of getting eaten alive here. So it looks like we are going to have to trade Celeborn the Wise for an Nazgul. Another Nimrodel, not too shabby. What will they block with? Looks like they block with their Orc army. I think they thought I had attacked with the Lookout, maybe? No. Interesting. Alright, so at this point, we're probably going to get overrun. Orcish Bowmasters, surprisingly good at creating blockers. March from the Black Gate is going to create another Orcish army. At this point, they could probably just start attacking in with their Nazgul, but they don't. We will play our Nimrodel. We are going to Elven Farsight, but we're not going to set ourselves up for another creature. That's probably fun. So we will go ahead and attack again with Celeborn the Wise. Do some more scrying. I wonder if there's a way to give Celeborn the Wise trample or some sort of evasion in this deck, because it seems like it can get really big really fast. But having all these little 1/1s is a problem, and every time they chump, we lose a life with Blood Artist. Very effective stalling tactic from opponent. Still surprised they haven't been attacking with their Nazgul. There they go. Wonder what they're waiting for. And remember, Council's Deliberation is an instant. Are they going to have some sort of sacrifice effect here? Meat Hook Massacre. Alright, GG's. That'll take out all 6 of the creatures on the battlefield. We will lose 6 life. We'll go on to the next one. Okay, on the play against Zaduz. Now, I did make a slight adjustment to the deck. We'd noticed the Celeborn the Wise was getting blocked. We weren't able to evade or get in the damage that we were hoping for, so I put in 2 4-mana blue enchantment spells, which give our creature +1, +0, flying, and whenever it deals damage, it draws a card. We'll see if that's enough to get us over the top. We'll see if we even draw into it. So for now, we have 2 forests, 1 Grey Havens. We do have a Lothlórien Lookout for turn 2, which is good, and we'll get some scrying that'll hopefully allow us to find a blue mana. Turn 1, we'll play our forest. Elven Farsight. So turn 2, we will scry with the Grey Havens. Take Flight is the enchantment ore that I put in. I think for now we don't want that. We'll go ahead, pass that along, play the Lothlórien Lookout. Looks like we're up against the Hobbits deck. Ooh, very, very cool art on these cards. Meriadoc, Brandybuck, and Peregrine. So we are well set up to defend against this deck, but we want to go ahead and find that blue mana. We'll go ahead and scry. Blue mana on top, very good. Elven Farsight we won't need. Grey Havens, a little bit difficult right now, but we will take the island. We will not reveal the top. We will play out our forest. And next turn, we'll go for Celeborn into an Arwen, and maybe another Farsight. Zaduz plays out the classic duo. We'll go ahead and block. It costs us nothing. We'll play out our Celeborn. We'll go ahead and get another scry in. Don't know if we'll need a backup Celeborn in this one. It may be helpful, but I think Arwen is going to do some good work. Chance-Met Elves. We will take that, for sure. Peregrine Took goes ahead and blocks our Lookout. Hobbit's Sting to Celeborn. That makes sense. Very good removal for a Hobbit and food token deck. So we know what we want to do now. We have our Arwen. We have only 1 island, though. Chance-Met Elves could come down, create a very nice blocker. Elven Farsight allows us to scry, plus we can scry off the Lookout if we need to. We'll go ahead and Farsight for now. Try to find a Horses of the Bruinen. Perfect. So we know exactly what we're going to be doing here. Next turn, we will draw into our island. We'll play out Arwen and Nimrodel Watcher. The turn after that, Horses of Bruinen, and set ourselves up for a good turn. Now, Peregrine Took can sacrifice 3 foods to draw a card. Opponent currently has 4 foods, 5 mana. Any Hobbit Sting is going to do 6 damage to our target creature. Ooh. They played Eleanor Gardener, a legendary halfling scout that says, when Eleanor Gardener enters the battlefield, create a food token. At the beginning of your end step, if you sacrificed a food, you can search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. Nice little bit of draw and ramp between Peregrine Took and Eleanor Gardener. Unfortunately, for opponent, we are going to be doing a little bit of damage this turn. So we'll go ahead, attack with the Lookout and the Chance-Met Elves. We are probably going to lose the Lookout here, and that's fine. We will take the Scry. We will beef up our Chance-Met Elf. Put 2/1/1 counters on it in case they want to double block. They let the Lothlórien Lookout through. Very interesting. They could have had that exchange for free, but maybe they're just having fun, which we appreciate. They have the whole gang together. Samwise Gamgee, Peregrine Took, Meriadoc Brandybuck, Rosie Cotton, making foods, creating a wonderful little Hobbiton paradise. We're going to have to give them the nice. I love what Zedu's is doing. So Samwise allows... Oh, this is a different one. Okay. So they are attacking just with a 4/4. We'll go ahead and allow that. We will... Oops. Very nice. Opponent will sacrifice some foods, which will trigger Eleanor Gardener, which will keep them ramping. We'll see if they have the 2-mana spell that returns a spell of ours to hand. We're going to return Eleanor Gardener and Meriadoc Brandybuck. Or maybe Peregrine Took, and we'll try to swing for lethal here. We're going to be able to put 2/1/1 counters on our creatures. Another Chance-Met Elf isn't the worst, but we really want a Scry. Go ahead, attack all. Scry again, put the counter on Arwen. Do not need another island. We are swinging for lethal, so opponent will need to block. Looks like they'll block with Rosie Cotton. They'll sacrifice an artifact. They will take some damage down to 9. That leaves them with a Meriadoc Brandybuck and Samwise Gamgee. They play out their Peregrine Took, is going to create some more foods. They play out their Eleanor Gardener, which will again create some foods. They can sacrifice foods to draw some cards. They can also sacrifice some foods with Samwise Gamgee to return a target historic card from graveyard to the hand. Looks like they wanted to gain some life instead. And all of these things can be done at instant speed. There is no sorcery only for it. Okay. Opponent up to 12 food tokens. We have a Council's Deliberation, which seems pretty good to me. We'll go ahead and draw, see what we get. Ooh, another Horses of the Bruinen. So we will go ahead and play Lothlórien Lookout, Nimrodel Watcher. We will... we'll hold back our Arwen and our Chance-Met Elves. But we'll get our Scry in. Another Council's Deliberation. We'll go ahead and put that to the bottom. But because we scryed, we are going to be able to draw another card off of the Council's Deliberation in our graveyard. So we'll go ahead and exile that when given the opportunity. Draw a card for free. It is Elrond, Lord of Rivendell. Very timely card. So they do block our Lothlórien Lookout, finally. They're going to be taking 5 from Nimrodel Watcher. And then we will have 3 blockers up for next turn. Into next turn's Horses of the Bruinen, which I think will be pretty good. So we'll play out Elrond. Elrond will scry. Arwen's Gift, not too bad. We'll go ahead and leave that on top. We'll go ahead and buff up our Arwen. And we'll see what opponent can do with their turn. Hardly the classic battle between hobbits and elves, but certainly a fun... Hardly the classic battle between hobbits and elves, but definitely a fun spar. Opponent with all the food they could ever want, and all the mana they could ever want. Rosy Cotton comes back down. It's going to do a lot of things. It's going to put some counters on a bunch of creatures. Meriadoc Brandybuck is going to come in. Present a lot of damage. We will go ahead and block with Elrond. Looks like opponent may be keeping up a lot of food eating. They have 3, 8 mana, it looks like. So we are going to go for it. This is probably... We could Arwen's Gift, Scry 2, draw 2, put some counters on our Nimrodel Watcher, but I have a feeling they are holding up a Hobbit Sting. So instead, we're going to slow them down a little bit. We're going to get rid of Meriadoc Brandybuck, Peregrine Took, actually maybe Samwise Gamgee. Samwise comes down to the thing. Yeah, get rid of Meriadoc Brandybuck and Samwise Gamgee. Slow them down just a little bit. Another Arwen, probably not a bad idea, but we'll have to chill on that one. We will put all of our counters on the Watcher. I think we will go ahead and attack all. We're probably going to get blown out. We're probably going to lose next turn, but this has been a very fun game. And all good things must come to an end, right? We'll draw 1, discard 1. Yep. Opponent's going to crack 1, 2, 3 more. Put 3 counters. Oh no, it's when it creates. Okay. They're just going to gain a bunch of life. Draw 1, discard 1. They are still facing a barely lethal attack. They'll block with their Eleanor Gardener. They'll take 10 damage down to 9. Still have a lot of food. Very nice. They may be able to come back here. And just as we had surmised, put enough counters between Rosy Cotton and Peregrine Took that they might be able to swing for lethal. Yep, definitely will. So they're playing out all the good things. They got the whole Shire together. A little sad we didn't get to see Frodo Baggins in action, but it's nice to see Rosy Cotton having her moment. So opponent finally able to play out all of their cards. You really get to see the synergies of the food the way that they were designed to be. Now this is a lot harder to pull off than opponent made it seem, but it's always fun to watch something work. Good game, Zadoos. So we'll go ahead and end the play there, but I hope you had as much fun watching this as I did playing the Scry Me a River elf deck. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.